Hi, welcome and welcome back. This is Ronald, and many of you may know me. I've been away for a year. Some of you may be new, but this was primarily a book channel. I'm going to be reviewing 24 books that I bought in 24. Well, not reviewing them, talking about them because I haven't had time to read any books this year except for I read a Christmas book and I read some Dramini, if you know what that is, and mostly I've just been reading a lot of books for school and work, so I haven't had time to really read anything I wanted. But now I have a few less classes this year. I'm only taking 2 classes this year, so I have a lot of extra time. So we're going to get into all of the books for last year that I bought and never really mentioned. So the first book that I have is The Book of Bill, which, if you have ever watched Gravity Falls as a child or teenager, you know who Bill is, and this book is Bill's side of the story. I'm not going to go too into it because it's a spoiler for the show, which, if you haven't watched the show or read any of the books, then you might want to do that first before diving into this. But this is book number 1. And it's also really, really pretty. Like the inside of the sleeve, especially, really beautiful. And if you hear any noises in the background, it is my dog. We got a puppy in February of 2024, and his name is Mocha, which I'll insert some video of him somewhere around here because he is currently playing with his like salt chews, like salt and milk and lime or something. I don't know, but he seems to like it, so he's doing that. The next 4 books are language and learning based. So first I have the Lonely Planet book on Japan, which it's an onsen guide. It is a map, Japanese food explained, temples, pilgrimages, all of that good stuff. And I just got this because later this year I will be traveling to Japan. So that is this book. Again, it is the Lonely Planet Japan version. I know there's a Korea version. I don't know if it has it for all different countries, but those are the 2 I know of. My friend has the South Korea one. Oh, here he is, right here. This is Mocha. He's very curious about flights. Next, I have the Japanese folk tales for language learners, which on one side of this book, it is the English version of the poem or folktale, and then on the other side, it is the Japanese version. So as you're learning, you can learn the Japanese version of the story as well, which I thought was pretty interesting and very useful if I'm going to learn Japanese for my trip. And it also has some vocabulary, which I don't know if you can see, but there's some vocabulary. Next, I have 2 workbooks, and they are both Learn Japanese with Manga. I have 2 other books, but they are not here with me, and I don't remember the titles of them because I got them at Barnes & Noble in-store. So I have Learn Japanese with Manga, volumes 1 and 2. And I haven't started working in these particular workbooks yet, but I have started working in my hiragana or hiragana book, and it's been an okay time. I haven't had much struggling yet, as there's also a digital audiobook that comes with it, which helps you learn how to pronounce different words, sounds, etc. Okay, so now we are going to be getting into our regular books. So first we have The House in the Pines by Anna Reyes. That looks like this. And so for this story, it says Maya was a high school senior when her friend Aubrey dropped dead in front of the enigmatic man named Frank, whom they've been spending time with all summer. 7 years later, Maya lives in Boston with a loving boyfriend and is kicking the secret addiction that has allowed her to cope with what happened years ago, the gaps in her memories and the lost time that she can't account for. Her past comes rushing back when she comes across a recent YouTube video in which a young woman suddenly keels over and dies in a diner while sitting across from none other than Frank. Plunged into the trauma that has defined her life, Maya heads to her Berkshire's hometown to relive the fateful summer and the influence Frank once had on her and the obsessive jealousy that nearly destroyed her friendship with Aubrey. And I thought that this would make a good little mystery book. It sounds very interesting. I also like flipped through and I was like, oh, it seems like something I would like something that I would read when I was in high school, but the adult version. So I'm very interested to see what all happens in this book, if there's something sinister or if it's just like humans being humans. The next book I have is the second book of the Emily Wilde series, which is The Map of Other Lands. And again, this is book 2 by Heather Fawcett. Yeah, by Heather Fawcett. And it looks like this. The first one, which I have, where is it? I have somewhere over here. It's somewhere over here, but I have the first book. I haven't read it yet because I'm waiting for the series to be finished so I can read the entire series at once because that's how I like to read books. I've been told that it's a very good book and there's a bit of romanticy going on here. I'm not sure what kind of romanticy. I'm not sure if it's like Prince or something because I don't want to be spoiled. I just know that she is a scholar and she's coming up with this encyclopedia. And that's all I need to know. I don't need to know anything else about this. Put this over here. Next, I have Someone You Can Build a Nest In. Like, I'm not sure if this is adult, this may be young adult, but it says Shashishin has made a mistake fatal to all monsters. He's fallen in love. Shashishin is a shapeshifter who happily resides as an amorphous lump in the swamp of a ruined manor. And I believe, if I remember correctly, there is this man who like saves her and starts to take care of her and things. And then something goes wrong. Is it a man or is it a woman that saves her? I think it's a woman that saves her. But again, I didn't want to read too much into it. Yeah, it's a woman. So this woman saves her, and there's something about the woman's family that's. But I want to see what this one is. I was really attracted to this cover when I saw it at Barnes and Noble, so that is why I picked this one up because this cover is like this right here. Like you can tell that she is some kind of monster, and she's wearing like this little witch hat, which I thought was so funny. And then the facial expression, and then I think this is the love interest, Homily, I think her name is, right down here. And she just looks absolutely freaked out. So I wanted to get right into this, but then I didn't have time. So this is one that I most likely would start during my lunch breaks at school because it looks really cool. And yeah. Okay, the next book is Home is Where the Bodies Are. And I saw this online. I saw the limited edition one, which had the like case. Mine's just the regular dust cover. Which if you take the dust cover off, the regular cover is so cool looking. Like absolutely cool looking. But I saw the other dust cover for the limited edition one, which was this, but it was a box. And I guess it sold out before I got to the store, so that was sad. But this one is just as cool. It's not like quite smooth, it has a texture to it, which is kind of nice. But yeah, this is Home is Where the Bodies Are, and this one, I have absolutely no idea what it's about. I just picked it up because the cover looked cool. And it says, after their mother passes, three estranged siblings reunite to sort out her estate. Beth, the oldest, never left home. She stayed with her mom, caring for her until the very end. Nicole, the middle child, has been kept at arm's length due to her ongoing battle with a serious drug addiction. Michael, the youngest, lives out of state and hasn't been back to their small Wisconsin town since their father ran out on them 7 years ago. Ouch. While going through their parents' belongings, the siblings stumble upon a collection of home videos and decide to revisit the happier memories. However, the nostalgia is cut short when one of the VHS tapes reveals the night back in 1999 that none of them have any recollection of. On screen, their father appears covered in blood. What follows is a dead body and a pact between their parents to get rid of it before the video abruptly ends. Beth, Nicole, and Michael must now decide whether to leave the past in the past or uncover the dark secret their mother took to her grave. That sounds really good. Rated T for thrilling, which I'm not sure if that's supposed to mean that it's young adult or not. But I'm really excited for this one. This one sounds really, really good. I think this is probably adult. Also like the details where it says insert this side into recorder, do not touch the tape inside, because I used to have a few VHS tapes, not like a lot, because they were like slowly phasing out by the time I was old enough to like collect them back in like, I don't know, 2005, 2008. By the time like I was really watching movies like that, I had Rugrats in Paris on VHS, and I remember because it was an orange VHS tape, and it was like my very first one. And I had a whole bunch of Disney movies, and it was like really cool. So I think I'm gonna like this a lot. It sounds like a really nice mystery. I don't know if it will go into the thriller aspect, but it's really good. Yeah, good job on me for picking that one up. Next, we have horror movie, which I picked this one up at the same time that I saw this one because they both had VHS tapes on the front. So that is why I also picked this one up. So for this one, this is by Paul Tremblay, who is the author to The Cabin at the End of the World, which is another book I haven't read yet. And this one says it's a chilling twist on the cursed film genre from the best-selling author Paul Tremblay and the with the Pallbearers Club and Cabin at the End of the World. It says in June 1993, a group of young guerrilla filmmakers spent 4 weeks making a horror movie, a notorious, disturbing art house horror flick. The weird part, only 3 of the film scenes were ever released to the public, but horror movie has nevertheless grown a rabid fan base. 3 decades later, Hollywood is pushing for a big budget reboot. The man who played the Thin Kid is the only surviving cast member. He remembers all too well the secrets buried within the original screenplay, the bizarre events of the filming, and the dangerous cross lines on set that resulted in tragedy. As memories flood back in, the boundaries between reality and film, past and present, start to blur. But he's going to help remake the film, even if it means navigating a world of cynical producers. Like, I like the premise. I hope it delivers, but it just reminds me a little bit of Nothing But Black and Teeth. Even though that one was more about a party and this one is an actual film, it gives me that kind of vibe. I just hope it lives up to what it's trying to deliver because Nothing But Black and Teeth definitely did not. Another one, this one I actually pre-ordered. And because I thought that the story was just so out there, so I had to pre-order it. And this is Fang Fiction by Kate Stayman London. And this one is basically about this girl who's an assault survivor who's in grad school, and she spends her nights managing a hotel, and she reads a whole bunch of vampire novels, which is something that I used to do back in high school. I love the Twilight series. I love Vampire Academy. Anything that was vampires, I was into it, including Vampire Night, which is totally questionable judgment once you find out what Vampire Night is actually about, once it gets through all of the fluff and smoke and mirrors, which to this day is still traumatizing. But this one is about this girl who, I guess the book comes to life or something like that, and there's this vampire villain who she rescues, and she like falls in love with him or something like that. And I thought that the premise for this was extremely good. Like, yeah, like she's living the Your Name story, and I thought that that was boss. I also liked how on the cover, which I saw the cover when I pre-ordered it, there's like the bite here, but she's reading a novel. So it's like, like, is she gonna be going back and forth? Is it just gonna be her going into the book? She stays in the book and she's like just living the dream. I don't know, but I want to read this expeditiously. Which again, this is one of the ones I'm gonna be reading sooner rather than later because the premise is so good. Next, I got the what is this? The fifth book in the Teen Titans series by Cami Garcia and illustrated by Gabrielle Piccolo, and it is Starfire. I have the limited edition version from Barnes and Noble, and this is the graphic novels for young adults DC series. And Starfire is my favorite Teen Titan, other than Robin. So I definitely had to get this. I had to get the limited edition one because I love Starfire so much. I didn't read it because I wanted to read it in a video, just like I did the other ones, and I want to compare it to the other ones. I feel like, well, I don't know because I haven't read it, but I really want this to be all encapsulating Starfire. And I don't know if she'll meet the rest of them in this one because I know in the Robin one they met everyone else, but then Raven and Beast Boy had their own individual stories. Then it was them together. Then Robin was just thrown in. Both the Robins were thrown in with everyone else, which is really like Robin and Nightwing because it was Damian and was it? I forget. But yeah, I'm really hoping that she just gets her own story because I am so interested in Starfire and I want to learn even more about her in this universe because I know about all of the other universes and I know about the universe where her and Nightwing have a kid. I know about her getting with, it's not the, I forget his name, but he has like a bow and arrow. It's like it's so many different universes in the DC universe, and all of them are. It's just it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm not even gonna get into it, but yeah, this is Starfire. Next, I have a stress-free productivity book, which I saw at the store. I got one for me and one for my best friend. It is by Alice Boys, PhD, and it is a personalized toolkit to become your most efficient and creative self. And so I thought that this would be really helpful in getting me back into the swing of things when it comes to creating videos, making different projects when it's concerned with where it's concerned with knitting, learning how to crochet, and just being productive in general. So I picked this up so I can learn to be more productive even in this wildly chaotic adult world. So yeah, that's all about this one. Next, I got Ultra 85, which, if you're a fan of the musician Logic, you'll know that this is by Logic. And for this one, it's based on the album that he did, which in the album, the story was never finished. So this is the continuation and finally finishing the story with Ultra 85. And this is what it looks like. I don't know how much you can see because I can't see myself. But this says, in the year 2115, when Earth is no longer inhabitable, the remainder of humanity lives in Babel, a giant space station. Two pilots, Quentin and Kai, must find the planet Paradise, where only the most promising citizens are allowed to live. On their journey, they encountered Quentin's estranged father, who left Babel for Paradise when Quentin was a child, and discovered just how different Paradise is from what they imagined, and how they must change it for the better. So yeah, if you've listened to this particular album, you know about Quentin and Kai and their journey and just them having discussion throughout the album. So I really wanted to finish the story, so I bought it. There's not more to say on that. If you don't know Logic, then this is Logic. Or as he sometimes calls himself, Bobby Tarantino, because he's a real fan of Quentin Tarantino. Next book is And Then I Woke Up. And this one is about like a plague and monsters and different things. And it just sounded really interesting. And some people like are affected with this disease and some people aren't. And I don't want to get too into it because like if you look at it, it's a really short book. I don't want any spoilers at all, so I didn't look into it that much because it's really short. Like it's less than 200 pages, I believe. So yeah, and this is by Malcolm Devlin, and I also saw this at Barnes and Noble, and I think I saw this in June or July because I don't know, for some reason they were getting ready for Halloween extremely early, just like during Halloween they were getting ready for Christmas, even though Thanksgiving hadn't even passed. But yeah, that's And Then I Woke Up. Next are two books from a series because so many people were talking about these on Book Talk. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick these up when the book comes out, when the third book comes out this year. I'm gonna read them all at the same time so I know everything. I don't have to wait. But those are Butcher and Blackbird, and then Leather and Lark. So I got this series, which, if I'm gonna be completely honest, I just know that it's about like murder or a serial killer and love, maybe some cannibalism or something like that. I don't know, but I really don't know. I just saw everyone with it on Book Talk and BookTube, and I was like, I mean, I guess I'll read anything. So at least if it's okay, if it's bad, I'll have to put it down. But for right now, it'll stay on the TBR. So yeah, if you hear noises, apparently on January 1st in my neighborhood, they're still doing fireworks. So that's the thing. Oh, and these were by Brynne Weaver, which I'll put all the book titles and everything down below. So I'll also have links so you can just click on it if you're interested in that particular book or series. Next, I have Poor Things because I saw the movie trailer and it looked really interesting. Before I watched the movie, I wanted to read the book because I saw that there was a book associated with it. And the book looked really interesting when I picked it up. There's like little doodles and stuff, and differing fonts, and like notes and what have you. So I decided to pick that up. And this is from the movie. It's again called Poor Things, and this is by Alasdair, or Alasdair or Alasdair Grey. And it says that it's a booby-trapped version of Frankenstein. Basically, there's this scientist from Glasgow, Scotland, who he creates this woman, and he's basically just using and abusing this woman. It's something. But this woman, like, she's like, I guess she gets or gains the ability to think for herself, and she tries to free herself from this man and everything that's happening to her. So yeah, I thought that that would be a very interesting novel to read and eventually watch the movie, which I don't know, maybe I'll do a watch along for the movie or something like that, or a reaction to it after I've read the book, or even a breakdown. And I just want to see what all of this is about. Apparently, everyone really liked the movie, so I'm also excited to really read this. And I really love this actress. I can't remember her name. I think it's Emma Stone. But I really like her as an actress. And so I think that this could be a really great book. Next is something from my childhood. I never read the book before, but I've seen the movie like, I don't know, maybe 100 times. I know that there's like 2 or 3 more books in the series that I need to get. But I got the first book, and it is Howl's Moving Castle. Howl's Moving Castle is basically the story of Sophie and Howl. Sophie is the daughter of a hat maker. She thinks that she's unlovable and plain and that no one really likes her. Her sister is very pretty, and I forget where her sister works, but her sister is very pretty. Everyone's always complimenting her, wants to take her on dates and just take her out. And her mother is also really pretty. I'm not sure about their father though. Like, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he died or if he's just out of town, but I don't know where her father is. And then there's Howl. Howl is a sorcerer, magician, mage, what have you. And this is basically Sophie and Howl's love story. And I know that the books after this are basically a continuance of their life and about their children and things like that. So I would also like to get the second and third, or second through, I think there's only 3 books, but I would like to get those other books as well. When I was in Barnes and Noble, because I have a really bad track record in that store, but I bought this one using a gift card. But when I was looking, I couldn't find the other books, so I just picked up this one and said I'd get it later. Hopefully, when I get it, they're the same size as this one, because when I looked online, the other books were like tiny, like um the bargain edition box set of Lord of the Rings, like that type of tiny. And I like the size of this font just fine. I can see it perfectly. I don't have to wear glasses or anything with it. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to find the other books. Okay, we're coming into the last few books now. So next we have You Look Better as a Ghost, which this book, I don't know if it's supposed to be as hilarious and entertaining as it actually is, but I started it a little while ago. I'm on page 48, and it's like, oh my goodness, there's so much happening. So basically, what do I say without spoiling this? Hmm. So there's this lady, and basically she's just up to no good. Up to absolutely no good. And she has like a lot of trauma around her. I don't know if it's both. Well, she has a lot of trauma around her childhood, mainly around her mother, and it's interesting. It's very interesting. Like her childhood, the backstory about her childhood is I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say because, like, the dad basically allowed what happened to happen. So I don't even know what to say about her childhood. And mind you, this is only like I'm only how many? 4 chapters in, and it's wild. There's wild things happening. Like there's death, automatically death. Like it's wild. Like but basically it's this serial killer. And I don't know if she became a serial killer based on things that happened in her childhood because her childhood was just that wild and she needed an outlet. But she's just like kind of off her rocker a little bit, but she tries to blend in with everyone else. And she goes to this grief group, and there's someone crazier than her, and it's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, I'm not gonna say too much, but basically just know that it's about this serial killer, which this is her right here. And it says you look better as a ghost. And this one, just from being on chapter 4, I would highly recommend this. It starts off like this. Like it starts off like that. And the way it's going, I think it can look really good. But again, I'm only like 48 pages in. But I don't know if it can get worse from here. I think it'll just get better, if you understand what I'm saying. So yeah, that's You Look Better as a Ghost by Joanna Wallace. Next is volume 4 of Heartgear, which again, if you remember from before, this is about this girl who is looking for her uncle with his robot creation. So for this one, the synopsis says nearly 200 years after the destruction of humanity in World War III, Rue lives a happy life exploring the ruins of civilization with her uncle, a robot named Zet. But when their peaceful life is threatened, Rue must trust the mysterious robot Chrome to bring her family together again. General Wodan has been waiting centuries for one thing. He needs to make his dream of the ultimate command a reality, a human biosignature. And now that Rue has fallen into his lap, he's able to rewrite the base program of every gear in Valhalla and force them to fight according to his will. The general has declared war, and Chrome must emerge victorious to have any hope of saving Rue before it's too late. Yeah. So it is very fascinating because, like, first of all, what? Like, honestly, the general is kind of crazy. And I'm still on the thing with the human biosignature. I don't know what that's about. But again, this is manga. It's manga, so the world may never know. Yeah. But also, let me show you. I don't want to show any spoilers, but I want to show the art. Oh, is that a spoiler? Let me. I'm trying to find a good one. Here. It like gives very early 2000s mech anime. Like, what is it? Big O. Well, Big O is not early 2000s. Big O is like 90s. But Big O, Gundam, Evangelion, etc., etc. But yeah, I really like it so far. It's very not simple, but it's very easy to just get into after a long day of work and just read, not have any issues understanding. It's kind of like Full Metal Alchemist. Not the plot line, but like the ease of entry, if you understand what I mean. Okay, and we have two more books after this one. So we have Ghostwritten by Ronald Malfi, and it's a lot of novellas. So this is a book of four novellas, and besides like Nothing But Blackened Teeth and what is it? That one terrible book that I read, Hidden, I think it was. It was like this yellow book. I'll insert a picture of it somewhere. But this one terrible book that I think was also like a novella. I haven't read many novellas, so that's something that I wanted to try going into this year. So yeah. And it's just horror. There's a cursed novel drives people to their deaths in the skin of her teeth. A delivery job turns deadly, and the Dark Brothers' last ride. This book belongs to Olo, sees a child wielding dangerous control over an unusual pop-up book, and a choose-your-own adventure game spirals into the uncanny reality in the story. So those are the four horror novellas in this. And again, this is Ghostwritten by Ronald Malfi, which this will be my, I think it's the second Ronald Malfi book that I have, so I am excited. And next, I have If This Book Exists, You're in the Wrong Universe by Jason Pargin. And he is the author of John Dies at the End. And this is what it looks like. I thought that this was very cool. Like, I really like this cover and this on the back. Yeah. And so for this one, it says, if the broken neon signs and shuttered storefronts didn't tip you off, you've just wandered into the city of undisclosed. It has a reputation as a hotbed of gruesome, nightmarish phenomena. But to be honest, the reality is so much weirder. Let's start with the supposed haunted toy that turned up. It's a plastic football sized egg that's supposed to hatch an adorable stuffed bird after a child feeds it through a smartphone app. What's actually inside is an entity that's enticing impressionable youth into depositing human flesh into the eggs as if it's a hungry piggy bank. This, it turns out, is just step one of an unfathomable plan. That's where John, Dave, and Amy come in. They face supernatural threats so the rest of us don't have to, usually to mixed success, but between the bloody ritual, sacrifices, and abrupt distortions of the fabric of reality, our trio quickly realizes this particular apocalypse is way above their pay grade. And so I got this because, like, the little quirkiness and John, Dave, and Amy, like, going through the supernatural. It reminded me a lot of what Supernatural in Archie's Mysteries and Martin Mystery. So I picked this up because it just gave me that vibe from childhood that I feel like a lot of books don't have now. They're not really fun type mystery things. They're more like just creepy. There's a lot going on, not very Scooby Doo esque. So I wanted something that I thought would feel like that. So that is why I picked up this one. So yeah, we'll see how it lives up to expectation this year. And the last book is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, which I, again, have never read anything by Leigh Bardugo. This is my first Leigh Bardugo book. I was gonna pick up what was it? The one with the rabbit and the one with the snake, but those didn't seem like something that I would read, so I did not pick them up. But for this one, this is what it looks like. And I love this dust cover. Like, it gives creepy 18th century. And the regular cover is just black. Yeah. For this one, it says, in a shabby house on a shabby street, in the new capital of Madrid, Lucia Cotaro uses scraps of magic to get through her days of endless soil as a scullion. But when her scheming mistress discovers that the lump of a servant cowering in the kitchen is actually hiding a talent for little miracles, she demands Lucia use those gifts to better the family's social position. That begins as a simple amusement for the nobility takes a perilous turn when Lucia garners the notice of Antonio Perez, the disgraced secretary to Spain's king. Still reeling from the defeat of his armada, the king is desperate for any advantage in the war against England's heretic queen, and Perez will stop at nothing to regain the king's favor. Determined to seize this one chance to better her fortune, Lucia plunges into a world of seers and alchemists, holy men, and hucksters, where the lines between magic, science, and fraud are never certain. But as her notoriety grows, so does the danger that her Jewish blood will doom her to Inquisition's wrath. She will have to use every bit of her wit and will to survive, even if that means enlisting the help of Julian Centenjo, an embittered and mortal familiar whose own secrets could prove deadly for them both. I'm sorry, it's been a long time since I read the synopsis. I'm trying to think of what it reminds me of. The synopsis reads like a TV show. Like it reads like, what was I watching a couple days ago? A Discovery of Witches. It reads something like that. A Discovery of Witches, and that one show about vampires that was on TV. It was like, I don't know, this guy's son was like the chosen one to vampires. It like reads like that played out. And then in the inside cover, there are all of these pomegranates, which is very, very interesting. Which I don't know if it's supposed to be a symbol for like blood or what have you, but we shall see. But yeah, that is 24 books that I bought in 2024 that hopefully this year I'll be able to get through every single last one of them. And yeah, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And I have a lot of interesting videos soon to come. So I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.